up, ballers? Welcome back to Fellowship, where I'm just going to lay out the route that we found through the heart of Tuzari. This is going to be a capstone dungeon for the Adept League. This has not got too many very scary pulls in it. There's a little variance in the middle, depending on a certain executioner. The executioners are the definitely scariest part. First thing here, this is pretty important. As the countdown happens, if your tank wants to pull these three away and your DPS wants to get working on this Hellcaller, obviously getting ready to interrupt the heal, your healer is actually going to run off and click the totem. That's going to bring down the wall. You actually saw the orb travel down the road there. It's going to open the wall to access the next area. This takes it's got like quite a long animation to go through with it. Don't blow major cooldowns here unless they're going to reset quickly. There's that restore vitality. We want to interrupt that. That's the heal going down. But you see this wall is already gone. There should be a firewall there. Then we're going to run down here. Now, what you're looking for as the tank is there are some patrolling doggos that are sprinting around. You can see them coming up here. You want to grab those without grabbing the other pack. So you can just wait a second there and then pull them into here. Again, we've got a Hellcaller. We want to be making sure that does not cast its restore vitality. It's going to heal the pack up. Other than that, this is a very simple AoE, blow everything up. Same again here. Your healer is going to hang back and click this totem while we go on to the next pull after this. Nothing scary in here, even at any point until you get to Endless and it's got actual affixes. Nothing to worry about whatsoever. So, simple effects. Just make sure your team is coordinated enough that the tank and the DPS are going to be moving as fast as possible while you can get there. You can actually see our ranger there is going to be clicking the portal, even though the healer probably said, I'll do it. Moving forward. All right, we're going to slide to the right here, and then we're going to cut back in, and we're just going to do this pack here that's guarding the totem. Nothing else whatsoever. We want to make sure the Hellcaller is managed and the Arsonist is managed. Super recommend here that you have just at least one interrupt on the Arsonist. Melees, you have a shorter interrupt, okay? Melees could generally go on the Arsonist as well. Big Ooga Booga Flame, that's what the Arsonist is casting there. You want to make sure that is never cast. At this point forward and going forward, you're going to see Arsonist a lot. Ooga Booga Flame will one-shot your players, so you want to make sure that's stopped. I actually interrupted that one without marking it. But either put a melee and a ranged on the Arsonist. It can cast Ooga Booga Flame faster than a ranged can handle it. Again, click the totem. This is going to set off the RP, and it should line up perfectly with the door opening as you get here. So there you go. Doors open. And now we're on to our first boss, Morgul. This is one of the hardest bosses in the dungeon, if you don't know what you're doing. So the trick with this boss is you're going to see him activate these totems, these pillars, these blood rituals around the room. You see them coming out here. And these are going to form these blood orbs coming towards you. As a tank, your absolute temptation is to absorb these for the rest of your players. That is bait. Don't do that unless you are being very clever about it, all right? Let your DPS pick it up. Now, as he sacrifices a pyre and sets them on fire, watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to run in, soak these because I've got shield wall on, and then walk out again. Now, the reason I did that is that fire on the floor removes the bleed effect. But that fire on the floor is so dangerous, your DPS can't run into it. Okay? So as the tank, you want to avoid picking these blood orbs up. The reason for that is the boss will periodically put a bleed on you. You can see it's called Hemorrhaging Strike. It is a huge amount of damage. It is absolutely monstrous. The bleed that is put onto the DPS from soaking these orbs has a big impact, nothing deadly though, and then very manageable healing for your healer. If you take this Hemorrhaging Strike, you see I have it now, and it's just chewing through my mitigation. Then and you have the blood orbs on top of you, you can very easily die. You are going to have to do it later in the fight, but there's no reason to stress your healer. All you want to do here is get in a good rotation. If you're DPS and you're the healer, you're going to soak these orbs. And then as soon as Sacrificial Pyre comes out and there's that flame on the floor, you step in for just a frame, get the bleed removed, and then come back out so you're resetting your bleeds. Now, where it gets tricky is towards the end of the fight, you're going to have just a lot of blood orbs coming in, and you kind of have to suck it up. This is where you want to use your major cooldowns, maybe your ultimates. If you're defensive, obviously DPS blow your ults on cooldown here. You just want to get them used. But generally speaking, that's the idea. You can see I've soaked one here because we're just getting so many of them. The alternative is, obviously I've measured this. I'm going to soak this one because the boss isn't hitting me, and then clear it. As you can see, I stepped in there. I am watching orbs in the pyre. But at this point, the boss is so low health, and we've had a DPS die, we're going to kite. This is totally fine. We're not going to get another sacrificial pyre. So the tank is now just going to maneuver around. You can see the orbs don't like lock onto you or anything like that. The orbs will just travel in a straight line. You just can't deal with so many of them, and it's not comfortable. This is one of the trickiest pulls, because we have this invoker. This is a caster. We're going to pull everything here up to these cutthroats. I've got 2 seconds on my grand melee. If you're playing the other tank, they have a different ability, but my grand melee actually shuts down any special abilities of the ads, so that casters can't cast. The Night Stalkers, the Night Mist Cutthroats, they will not use their teleport behind the tank ability for a little while. This is a phenomenal ability to gather enemies, because it will shut down casters, it'll shut down archers, things like that. They won't stand still and start casting at you. You'll get everything into a nice big death ball and cut them down. I will point out here, as I always do, these Night Mist Cutthroats are your #1 priority as the tank. They teleport directly behind you and immediately start chaining backstabs into you. They'll kill you in a couple of hits. Here's the thing. Remember that backstab also hits DPS. So you have to be very careful as the tank as to where you're going. In terms of DPS, your job is to interrupt the caster as much as possible. Just lower that damage. Now we move through here. This is like what we consider to be the worst pull. There's some alternatives here, but you have so much time in this dungeon. It's actually crazy. So don't worry about it. It's a very small pull to invokers. So what you want to do is you put your ranged interrupter onto the Hellcaller, because that restore vitality is a very low recharge rate for its heal, so you don't have to worry about that. Melee, you're going to deal with the invokers. All right, so you can see the melee are assigned, and Wither is what you want to interrupt. Wither is the dangerous spell. The Shadow Bolts or whatever, it's the Wither. Don't interrupt Shadow Bolts. Wait for Wither. Make sure you get it. Next pull, we're going to go up these stairs. We're going to pull this Executioner. Now, this Executioner sucks, and the reason he sucks, we're going to pull everything here. This has got an Arsonist, 2 Cutthroats. Cutthroats are a tank problem, right? You just have to make sure you don't get it behind you. Look how slowly he waddles in. Now, in actual fact, this is not a bad thing. If you are the tank, the frontal flame that comes from the Arsonist, it just doesn't do that much damage. Just make sure Big Ooga Flame doesn't go off. It actually went off there and immediately killed our DPS. You can see there, that was probably my missed interrupts or his missed interrupts, I'm not sure. But it happens while you're positioning and you're watching Cutthroats. It is one of those things that gets better with time. It's fine. But once the Executioner gets here, kill him, because your tank is going to have to kite. I've used my Grand Melee. That stops the Executioner from doing his debuff, which is constant. You can see it's actually landing me now, that picture of the axe. That is going to be a consistent form of stacking bonus damage done by the Executioner. Now, thankfully, they have made the Executioner walk very slowly. So when it hits, like, I feel like 6 stacks, that's when you want to start kiting. As much as possible, you can see I was talking about those frontal flames. You want to try and just, like, soak them as the tank, in my opinion, because mixed in with Cutthroats and moving and the Arsonist being offset, you can see I kited there and reset my debuffs. It means that you're creating like a 360 of danger for your DPS, right? The frontals are just not that bad. Now, at this point, we're going to try and skip this Executioner. He walks in a circle. He has a very low aggro radius. So once he's walked past, you can go through. Now, unfortunately, we were waiting for our DPS to run back. As we are very confident in this dungeon, I thought this was why this video was worth showing to you guys. We've done this dungeon many, many times in different builds, and we usually didn't have to wait here, so we were kind of like waiting here, and he snapped to us. So ordinarily, we do not bother with this Executioner. But he's here, and we're going to have to deal with him. Now, what you're also going to see, which is, again, why I thought it was worth showing this video, is time is not a problem in the heart of Tuzari, as long as you're not, like, really trolling. It will happen. Like, it absolutely happens. We've definitely, especially the last boss. The last boss is very awkward to get used to in terms of what he's doing. So don't freak out too much if you do an extra pull. It's fine. Like, you're going to kill this Executioner. We don't want 2 Executioners, right? Because we're going to, certainly as a Helena, I'm going to be using my Grand Melee soon. So I don't want to be utilizing it in weird spots. So we're going to pull these 2 Invokers. Again, 1 Melee Interrupter on one of the Invokers, another Melee on the other one. And if your 3rd Interrupter, your other DPS, should just be trying to, what we call it in our group, RNG kicks. Just kick whatever. Doesn't matter. So I've got a Grand Melee here, and that's going to shut down the Executioner. So I waited for the Executioner to do a few stacks on me. I can kite, but the casters are going to be awkward to kite, right? And then DPS gets split up. It's one of those situations that you have to make a choice. The other time I would use, ordinarily, if we hadn't done that extra Executioner, What we would actually have happen at this pull is have the healer run downstairs and pull the downstairs pack up here, and I would grand melee on the corner, and that would bring both of these 2 packs together for 1. We decided, because of what just happened, is like, okay, we can do these separately. Again, this is why I'm showing you this video. This is not our smoothest run. We have done this with something like 9 minutes remaining, is to show you that you can make these choices. I think it's very important that you know that. But just bear in mind, our ordinary pull here is to pull downstairs, have them run up these stairs, because there's a campfire here. You probably want it just in case. You might as well DPS them here. Is to have the guy run upstairs and then grand melee, bring them all together, or death grip if you're using the other tank, whatever it might be, in order to grab everything together and just AoE this down. As it happens, we're just going to do them separately, and we're still going to have plenty of time left. It's no problem. We're going to grab that campfire, then we're going to come down here. You see, these are just sickles and an invoker. Like, it's very easy to deal with. The problem is, as always in this game, is gathering everything. You have some tools. You have mini mass grip to bring them together. You have the other tank has a bigger mass grip. I have grand melee, but those are on long cooldowns, right? Even talented, they're going relatively long cooldowns. So and you can see this pack has no health. We probably could have just pulled this as well, but again, there's no reason to do that whatsoever. Right, next pull. This is going to leave us pretty much perfect trash. So bear in mind what we're doing here. Although bear in mind we've done 1 more execution than we'd ordinarily do. We're going to jump over the ledge here to the left and then jump straight into this big pack of initiates and invokers. We're about to do the big boss. Generally, we've found the bosses last so long, certainly in the capstone dungeons, that there's no, unless an ult you might save, your ultimate ability you'll hold on to. As for other cooldowns, they're going to come up anyway during the fight. Like, send them. Like, trash is the biggest portion of this dungeon. Use your cooldowns whenever they're available. We're going to clear this out and go into our next boss. This boss, I recommend, as you coming into the heart of Tuzari, is that you have 1 or 2 burgers. When I say burger, I have no idea what the name of the trinket is. It's the trinket that gives movement speed to your group. You can see it's on my Alt 1, bottom right. It's green. It looks like a burger. We call it burgers. Bring a couple of burgers if you have access to them. We only have access to 1. Only 1 is dropped by the time we've done this, and it's for this moment. Yeah, you see I've marked it, we've marked a spot that I'm going to be clearing. The burger just gives movement speed. What we're doing here is soaking up all these flowers. Now, if you have a Mara in the group, the rogue, and you want to do a lot more boss damage, let some of them through. In this case, we had our healer just kind of not soak. The reason for this is Mara gets way more damage if you have the right talent build on funneling damage from various adds. So if you have a lot of adds up, you're going to do a ton more boss damage with Mara by funneling damage and combo points into the boss based on the amount of adds. These twisted roots, these work weirdly. They definitely melee the closest target, right? You can see we spawned some more here to bring them in for the Mara, especially during Thormother's Slumber, where the boss takes bonus damage. The idea is that we thought it was like closest target is what they melee. It's not really threat-based, but that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Like, there I was positioning between them and making sure our Mara was stood as far away as possible, but still was kind of getting meleeed. It's not super dangerous. It's whatever. Just make sure you're killing those in a good time. So here we have no burger. We are burgerless. That sucks. But I'm going to do my best. In fact, it's fine. As long as your team who does have movement speed capability is doing their job. And again, we do want to spawn a few of them. You can see that's that awkward moment that you do have in Fellowship where you accidentally open Steam. Is you still have funnel damage. You see the boss is dying. This is really quick. For our gear level, Munkar here is getting absolutely destroyed. Like, we're not really going to do anything else after this. The boss is already at 10%. We're just funneling damage as much as possible into the boss, keeping that frontal cleave aimed away from the DPS, and bringing in some more adds. Those are the ones that spawn during the Slumber. So once the boss does do Thorn with the Slumber, it will spawn any remaining flowers that you missed. But we murdered that boss. Like, absolutely nothing to worry about. Our Mara is our top damage dealer here. Then we're going to go immediately here. You have to do this pull. It's a mandatory pull. We've got an Arsonist in here. 2 Arsonists. Make sure you can see, again, a melee on each one. We'll see the Mara probably tag. There you go. Tag the Arsonists. Again, always make sure you got good attention on who's marked what. Tight corridor. Again, depending on how strong your tank is, my mitigation bar is absolutely full. My toughness bar is completely full. I'm not too worried about these frontal flame things. I just rather things stay still. Often that choice comes as the tank, as like keeping things still so the DPS can just do their job. I think is really good. Moving forward, we're going to come out towards the sort of endish area of this dungeon. Now, couple of tricky things here. We have to pull these enhanced pillages. See, they got a red icon above them? That means they're level ahead. Now, we actually want one of these. They're called boogras or something. The hulks that are coming here. But both of them were together. Bulgors, that's it. Both of them were together. We're not doing 2 bulgors at once. That is just... You can do it. Have fun. You could totally do it. It'll depend on your gear. If you come in here at like the minimum item level, which we are, we did the absolute bare minimum of the Adept League to get in here, then go for it. But other than that, and again, you don't need to. We're nearly at the last boss. We've still got 13 minutes left. You have ages in this. Unless they change it, you have so long to get this done. Kill the Bulgur as quickly as possible. He's very mean. He's very nasty. And also, you want to be careful of these pillagers. Pillagers, you might be dealing with in Contender League or even Quick Play and not really think anything of. Pillagers very quickly become the most dangerous enemies in these dungeons. Now we're going to do a relatively big pull. We're going to get the Executioner and the Arsonist. The Bulgur, you can see, does not have a large aggro radius, and we don't need him. So ignore him. Just get away from him. Don't do extra giant enemies for no reason at all. It's pointless. Awkward one for the tank here. We've got Executioner and we've got Cutthroats. So be careful. Big Booger Flame is going off. It actually hit Furbo going through there, which sucks. That was my interrupts, but as you can see, there was a loss aggro on the Executioner. Way more dangerous to let the Executioner get his abilities off here. And a Cutthroat making me move around a lot. It does happen. Again, we're at 4 stacks here. I've not used my Grand Melee to turn it off. There's no need to. If it's just the Executioner, not too bad. Just bear in mind when you start kiting an Executioner, that cleave that's landing on me, that big axe debuff, is a frontal. It'll hit everybody around it and likely one-shot one of your DPS and your healer. So make choices when you're going to kite. This is our final pack of the dungeon. You can see we're at 96%. If we had not done the Executioner, this would leave us exactly 100% trash. So the extra Executioner is putting us ahead a little bit. Very, very slightly. If you skip that Executioner and do everything else as we have done here, you will have 100% trash. Totally fine. So we're going to do the usual here. We're pulling up the stairs a bit because the Bulgur is patrolling around. We don't want to pull that extra Bulgur. So I'm going to move up the stairs. The DPS are going to be, the ranged DPS and the healer are going to stand at the side. Mara's obviously with me. And now we're going to just finish this off. 98%. And you can see we're at 100% now with 2 mobs left. There's your Executioner percentage. But are we fine? Yeah, we've got over 10 minutes left before we get to the end of the dungeon. And we've done 2 pulls that we wouldn't ordinarily do. As I said, ultimately you'll end up getting here with... if you're reasonably good at this dungeon, you'll end up with lots of time left, even in lowish gear. I would see them nerfing the time in this dungeon. Alright, Prophet Ezrath. This fight has been changed a few times. It is easily, for me, the hardest capstone dungeon boss in the game. It's very, very long. There's a lot to consider depending on absolutely everybody in your dungeon. So if you could do Prophet Ezrath, as it stands right now, you're probably good on boss mechanics for a while. So first things first, Dark Malice. Tank, pay very close attention to where Dark Malice is coming off and do not land it. It spawns under the boss on the Chosen. Don't do that. The next biggest mechanic here is Wicked Hook. Wicked Hook will target, I think it's the furthest away typically. No, it's random now. Now, it will hook in a Chosen. So whoever gets Wicked Hook, you want to stand between a Chosen and the boss. It's okay if the Chosen go through the middle of the room. That's fine. You see, I moved the boss away from Malice there. Keep an eye on that Malice cast, tanks. However, you're going to get another Wicked Hook now. There's nothing for you to intercept it with in terms of the Chosen. This is a tank job, okay? Wicked Hook will one-shot your other players if it hits them. But if you're using Wicked Hook on the Chosen, when they spawn, have a little communication. Or if you're off comms, mark in some way. You can see I'm going to soak the Wicked Hook here. Mark, do something in order to know generally what you want to Wicked Hook, because it'll make DPSing the Chosen down way better. One of the biggest reasons I see people wipe on this dungeon is that they're sort of splitting off DPS on the Chosen as they're walking towards the middle. Obviously, it's a wipe if that happens. You want to just be like, okay, don't waste damage on this. It's going to pull to the boss, and the tank's going to position it. Now we get the fun part. So the lasers are now out. He no longer does Wicked Hook. Don't have to worry about it. And we're going to be circling the room. There's not much else for us to consider here. As the tank, we're going to be pulling it around. We want to leave Dark Malice sort of at the chasing edge of the laser so that the front area is clear for the DPS to move around. Your DPSs, including your melee, have ways and means, your Tariqs, your Maras, of getting around here and not being useless. And if not, they can hit the boss. Lasers are still up from the previous encounter, as you can see, so watch out for that. With the Chosen dying, they will drop these lasers, so ought to be super careful. These will kill you very quickly. But from this point on, this is it. We're just going to circle like this, watching mitigation, trying to be very defensive, and just bearing in mind where Malice is. So Malice is coming, so you're going to see I'm going to slow down chasing in a second and leave this Malice here. You can see I'm just waiting now, letting the trailing catch up, make sure there's plenty of room up front for everybody, and moving away, let that Malice go off nice and safe. We've got loads of room, and then the boss is very quick, so the boss will catch up to us without any issue whatsoever. Down we go, another 10% to go. Very rinse and repeat. In fact, if you do this relatively smoothly, you can see we're not even going to bother with another wave of Chosen. Even if we did, it's not a big deal. We're going to be just melting through this. I do recommend that you have ults for this phase, because you have wicked hooks and things for the other phase. But nice and clean. 7.5 minutes remaining, even with unoptimal pulls. All right. There's your Heart of Tuzari. There are obviously more routes you can take, but we found that to be the most efficient and the most relaxing. Enjoy.